It was the year 1813, a time when Europe trembled beneath the feet of the French emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte. He had conquered and subdued many countries, and his might seemed unstoppable. However, a formidable coalition of nations had risen against him, determined to bring him down. The stage was set for the Battle of Vitoria, a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars, and a moment that would go down in history. The British, led by the Duke of Wellington, were among the Allied forces that sought to repel Napoleon's armies. They had been battling fiercely across Spain and Portugal, pushing back the French troops and gaining ground inch by inch. Yet, despite their successes, Wellington knew that their ultimate victory would only be possible if they could secure a decisive triumph. The opportunity came in June of that year, when the French forces were split. With one part of the army isolated and vulnerable, Wellington seized upon this weakness and prepared to launch a massive attack, hoping to shatter the French lines and crush their morale. On the morning of June 21st, the two armies faced each other across the field of battle. The French were led by the Marshal Joseph Jourdain, a veteran soldier who had fought with Napoleon in many campaigns. He was confident in the abilities of his men, and believed that they could hold their ground against the British onslaught. The British, on the other hand, were determined and fierce. Wellington had carefully planned every detail of the attack, and had deployed his troops in a strategic formation that would allow them to strike at the heart of the French lines. The battle began with a thunderous exchange of artillery fire. The cannons roared, and the air was filled with the acrid smell of smoke and gunpowder. The French cavalry charged forward, but they were met with a withering hail of gunfire from the British infantry. The battle raged on, with both sides struggling for dominance. The turning point came when the British forces launched a daring attack on the French lines. The men charged forward, with bayonets and swords flashing in the sunlight. The French fought back bravely, but they were weakened and disorganized. As the battle reached its climax, a dramatic moment occurred that would go down in history. Wellington rode his horse up to the front lines, and with a powerful cry, exhorted his troops to renew their assault. The men responded with a mighty roar, charging forward with renewed vigor. The French were overwhelmed, and one by one, their defenses crumbled. The Battle of Vitoria was an epic victory for the Allied forces. The French suffered heavy losses, and their morale was shattered. The path was now open for the British to march on towards France itself. It was a momentous moment in the history of Europe, and it changed the course of the Napoleonic Wars forever. It was a turning point that would be remembered for years to come, as a moment of triumph for the Allied forces, and a defeat for the might of Napoleon Bonaparte.